green, my sweetheart, this is what it's all about. You, me, a beautiful summer's day, the perfect beverage. Cheers. There's only one way to truly improve this situation, and that's for us to turn on that beautiful natural engine of yours. For a petrolhead, a great car means so much more than it ever could to the average person. To them, it's just a mode of transport, a way to get from A to B. But for us, they are a way of life. Take my GT3 Touring, for example. It didn't take it long for it to become my trusted partner, my bestie. Always there, always dependable. But sometimes it's also my therapist, there for when I need a moment of clarity. And it's also part of the family, something that I want to protect, and I want to give it the best care and treatment possible. And when it comes to the act of driving fast, it means so much more to me than a mode of transport. Every input, every rev, every shift, the lines between man and machine have blurred, and now it just feels like it's an extension of me. It's now been 5,000 miles and 15 months of ownership, and I've been using my GT3 Touring as my main personal car for solo trips and even the occasional trip with the family, thanks to its unique seating arrangement. And honestly, it's been the most complete sports and supercar that I've ever owned. So naturally, I need to tell you all about it. So guys, today I'm going to share with you my experience of 15 months with my GT3 Touring. We're going to go over just how different this car is to the standard 911 because truly they hardly share an important component. I'm also going to go over the brand new facelift 992.2 GT3 and Touring because we have to discuss if that car is worth it over this one and the areas where this car is actually superior that you might not know about. I'll also give you some perspective of what this has been like living with it because we know that it's an epic track car both in Touring and in wing form. But how is it like living with it daily? What's it like living with a family, particularly with my GT3 Belts rear bench upgrade? And I also want to fill you in on what my experience was like living with this versus a car like my previous 992 GTS and the AMG GTs that I've owned in the past as pure two-seaters. So, loads to explore before we hit the road again and see just how brilliant, just how wonderful, just how perfect my 992 GT3 Touring really is. So guys, I've had my 70mi T800 4K dash cam in my car for about a month now, and I shared it briefly on the channel before, and I have to say having this installed in the car has just given me peace of mind for a lot of reasons. Here's why it matters and why it makes me feel more secure. Most drivers will run through at least one of these negative situations while they're on the road. For example, someone rear-ends you, but the plate is too blurry to read on a standard dash cam. Those infamous crash for cash scams where someone deliberately cuts in front of you in order to make a claim eventually. Or someone breaks in the side of your car while it's parked up, as has happened to me in my cars in the past. With the T800, you have every angle covered with our front and rear 4K cameras and now even an integrated internal camera as well. And because they use Sony's Starvis 2 lenses with HDR, you'll have crystal clear evidence of anything that goes down, give it bad light or bad weather. And by the way, you don't need to hardwire it. They've now done this budget-friendly external battery pack that you can run from a cigarette lighter so it won't drain your car's battery. And at night, 70mi's Night Owl Vision and My Color Tech keep everything bright and detailed, while the camera inside uses infrared, perfect if you do rideshare or often travel at night. So if you've ever wished that you had the right footage, be it an accident or a theft, now you can rest assured with the T800 that all sides are covered. And to get a great deal, check the link in the description below for the T800 4K cam. Of course, it helps support RBR greatly and the sponsors who come to support us. So a huge thanks to 70mi for sponsoring this episode and to you guys for always supporting our regular sponsors. Let's get back to the car. Now guys, let us start by recapping the 992 GT3 itself, because like I said, it doesn't share any component, pretty much anything, with the standard rear-wheel driven 992. So for example, the body, the glass, even the wheel size is not shared. Our engine exhaust system and gearbox, the main components, not shared either. Steering and chassis electronics, not shared. Even the suspension itself, completely unique to our GT product. Hell, even the 12-volt battery is not shared. Okay, so what's left? Not much car left, is there? Let's start to rebuild it then. First of all, the body. Loads of use of carbon fiber in this unique wide body version of the 992. We have lightweight glass as well. We have a larger staggered wheel setup, 2021s, and the wheels are of course forged and covered by those beautiful Michelin Cup 2 in my case. Then the main event, the naturally aspirated 4-litre engine. There's hardly any naturally aspirated engines in the world anymore, and this is one of the best. We must protect it with everything. It is essentially unchanged from the Cup car that is used in racing. It revs all the way to 9,000. In this car, it produces 510 PS, 470 Newton meters, and the PDK clocks 60 at 3.4. But you will see me smash that later when we go for a drive. I absolutely obliterate it. And speaking of the PDK, this unit is a lighter weight version versus what you see in the standard car. It maintains the same lever as the manual car, unlike all other 911s. And of course, you can have a manual, the wonderful 6-speed manual in this if you want it. And it has a stainless steel exhaust system, which despite having 2 gasoline particulate filters in there, sounds predictably absolutely incredible. Then probably the biggest development that this GT3 had versus the previous version, and that's with the suspension. We now have in this the double wishbone suspension brought in from the 911 RSR race car, and this changes the game for the front suspension. Andy Pruninger's analogy of this, who of course developed the car, was that if you're doing knee bend exercises and someone pushes you from the side, a McPherson strut suspension would have you fall over, but your double wishbone would stabilize you in the shoulder area. And really the key thing with this suspension is stabilization. Stabilization when it comes to camber, when it comes to body control, when it comes to your steering feel, everything just feels better thanks to this. And it's been sorely missing it, and it's so useful. In addition to this, we have helper springs that help with road contact, keeping those tires hitting the tarmac at all times. And finally, we have 2-degree rear wheel steering on this as standard. Then we have our brakes, which are 17% lighter than before, but they are bigger in our steel version. The carbon ceramics, like I have on my car, half the weight of the steel, so really good, and of course covered by forged wheels. Then we come to aerodynamics. This is a unique body, and it takes its bonnet straight out of the Cup car with those famous nostrils there to pull out heat from the rads, send them over the top of the car, just like in the race car. Then on our rear, again RSR inspired, is our rear diffuser with the fully clad underbody with the fins, and these together create vacuum-like suction with the road at speed and 4 times more downforce than we had before. Now on our winged variant, we of course have more inspiration from the race car with our swan neck rear wing, which is so famous now, allows air to flow more freely underneath there. And our base car here has 50% more downforce in this setting anyway versus the previous car, but you put it in its performance setting and that increases to 150% more at 200 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely insane. Inside the wing car, you'll find motorsport inspired interior with carbon buckets, the old school gear shifter, a specialized track screen with reduced info not available on a normal 911. But the interior is where the Touring sets itself apart, with greater range of interior finishes available, a unique embossed leather style, leather steering wheel, and a fully covered interior. Thanks to all of these changes, the car set a fantastic Nürburgring lap time on the shorter circuit of 6 minutes and 59, I believe, which is a second quicker than the previous GT3 RS, which is hugely impressive. And don't think the Touring is behind the standard car, because the Touring's technical basis is identical to the winged version. The only difference being our rear retractable spoiler versus the normal Carrera. It has a much steeper angle of deployment, particularly in performance setting. Now, despite being a wider, bigger car with all the extra technology, the extra safety elements, the modern car elements, the interior, the particulate filters, etc., this remains on par with the previous GT3 in terms of weight. The manual weighing 1418 kg and this PDK at 1435. So all in all, with all those components, as I said, it may look the same, but it is completely different to your standard Carreras in the 992 series. Though perhaps not so different when it comes to living with this car, which is what's so great about it. So let me now impart to you some of my experiences living with the GT3 Touring. So guys, we can't talk about my ownership experience with this car without talking about the rear seat conversion I did with GT3 belts, because it had such a profound effect on my ownership versus supercars I've had in the past. It was done by Einstein at GT3 Belts, who, yes, he is a genius. It all uses official parts, as I explained in the dedicated video I did to it. So no modifications done, all Porsche parts in terms of the belts, etc. And that means it's completely reversible as well. And as the new car proves, they've done it themselves, because the bodies are actually no different to the 4-seat versions. I covered it in that full video on the day that it was done, and you saw me taking my two boys, which was a great first moment. But what you haven't seen is every moment that I've experienced since then, which has just been such a joy. And that's in regard to every moment, because this is my main personal daily car that I use on solo trips. And I've used it on every single school run since then, which has been amazing for me because it's an excuse to get up. And it's been amazing for them as well because it's so fun. And then when it comes to like errands or groceries, getting the milk and eggs, yeah, why not take this? I do, and I find it great. Then there's also been things like, you know, a sunny day like this, you want to go out as a family in a more special car, then you'll take this. If I have some guests in the home and we need to take the extra car, then hell, I've got 4 seats in this, at least, you know, being able to help in that practicality sense, which you would never think of in a supercar normally. And whatever the case is, in all of those scenarios, the point is that this car can now be used more. Whereas supercars that we've all had in the past, in those scenarios, they don't get used. They just sit there and vegetate, and they're only there for those odd occasions when, you know, we are by ourselves and we're able to use the car. But otherwise, they end up sitting there, not getting used. They cost a huge amount of money every month. And then that thought starts to creep in, doesn't it? That I'm not using it. Maybe I should sell it and go and get a more practical performance car. So I really can't recommend it enough in that sense, that you'll actually use the car that much more. This one is done to full Sonderwunsch spec in terms of the exact same leather stitching, and you have the rear bits that are also removable, which is great for storage. Now, Ein also does a RBR edition, something I got him to do, which is a much cheaper version than the full trimmed version. It's still in the same quality, but it's just black, so it mimics your standard seat or rear bench with no seat covers, so it's a bit more stealth as well. It still has the removable backrests, and then that works out a lot cheaper. So that's one option that you can go for. Remember, you can go for it in 3RS, the winged version, the old CRS and 991.2, you can try this as well. And whereas the new car only offers it in Touring, you can get it in the new car in the winged version, for example, as well. So absolutely still a great thing for you to think about in your GT product Porsches. Now, the two other mods I did could be done in any 911, to be fair. And one is the door pulleys here, which again was done by Einstein actually. You can order these from him. Again, trimmed in the same way, mimicking that SD style. And that's been great because I don't like the normal door handles that chop your fingers off. The other one is straight out of the 3RS, which are the magnetic shift paddles straight out of Motorsport. They're amazing. They're just unbelievable. So great in terms of the feedback. And the thing is, the parts only cost like 900 quid-ish, and then the labor to attach them. But so worth it considering how much the YSAC pack is in the 3RS. So really recommend that. The interior itself in the Touring has been amazing. This is the standard GT3, it's so much better trimmed. I like the embossed leather, I like the fact you can get so many different interior trims in this version of the car. The analog dials generally in the pre-facelift are incredible. And let's face it, this is a lot more expensive for Porsche to do versus a singular screen, but it looks so much better. And I think we really missed that, you know, in the new car. And the other amazing thing has been the lift system for me, living daily with it. A, it's really quick, but B, it has this ability to remember geographical locations. And that's been incredible. So certain car parks and supermarkets that I frequent, a certain area of the school run, I've saved it on there, and now it remembers and it will just do it automatically. And the final bit is the storage space, which has been great and on par with the standard rear-wheel drive GTS I had before. So guys, truly more practical than any other supercar or track car could ever hope to be, particularly with that upgrade. Now guys, let's talk about buying, okay? And to do that fairly, we must first discuss the facelift that's come out. And this is the 992.2 version of the GT3. Now this is more expensive now. It's 22,500 more expensive in the UK. Worldwide, we've seen a commensurate price increase as well. So it sits at 158k versus 135. What do you get for that price increase? Well, beyond the lovely exterior, and that element is subjective, what's changed? The performance is basically the same. It still produces 510 PS. Actually, that's a bit of a lie, because the torque is less. It's 20 Newton meters less than the previous car, because they had to do various workings in order to, I think they reduced the emissions by a massive amount, like half. And because of that, it produces a little bit less torque. The boon to buying the new car is truly with the manual, where the final drive ratio is 8% shorter, meaning more engagement thanks to the gearing, so you'll be shifting more often and having more fun with that version of the car. And of course, the other benefit is the brand new packages that they've introduced into this car. The winged version gets a YSAC pack for the first time. That brings a number of additions, both in terms of aesthetics and in terms of some weight saving and performance. Get the YSAC package, it's 12 kg lighter than your standard wing car. You get exposed carbon fiber on your bonnet, your roof, and on your rear wing. Even your wing side plates are now finished in carbon fiber. You get the option of the beautiful magnesium wheels that were saved for cars like the ST and the 3RS in the past. And you get the addition of carbon fiber bracing on our rear axle, all of this helping then reduce the weight of that car. And this costs around about £19,000. You can get it with or without the roll cage, which then becomes a bit cheaper. So that's the YSAC package in the winged version. Then our touring version gets some awesome options. The main one being the rear seats now officially done. Yes, I beat Porsche to the punch on that, but now you can get it officially, but only in the touring version. That is a free option, and that pairs well together then with the brand new foldable carbon bucket seats. But of course, there's one other option, the most expensive one in the 911 series, and that is the Lichtbau package. Okay, the lightweight package for the touring, 22 kg lighter than the standard touring. This is crazy price. Does a similar type of thing to the YSAC package, so you get the magnesium wheels. If you get the manual, you have a shorter shifter, much like the ST. Now, all that weight saving in theory sounds great, but A, it's an expensive option, and B, our new GT3 Touring and winged version are around 20 to 30 kg heavier than the previous version to begin with. So regardless of you getting those lightweight packages, the old ones like mine are kind of the lightweight package plus, which is kind of crazy to think about. Of course, that happens with model year changes, but it's just something to bear in mind. And of course, the other thing is the lovely analog driver zone in the previous one is something that you and I do value, and it is something to think about that you will lose in the new cars. Now, looking at the used market, wing ones starting around about 150k, and then you go for higher spec ones, or then start to creep up to PTS, you're looking at around about 170. And on tourings, it's a bit more expensive, 165 for the cheaper ones, and then you go to PTS, etc., like my car with better interiors, and you're touching kind of the 200k mark. So not quite over list, but holding their money quite well. And as we said, regardless, 20 to 30k cheaper than the new one. So something to bear in mind when you're going around shopping. So that's the GT3, both in the new one and the old one, summed up. Let's now drive mine, and let me explain to you why I think it's probably the best supercar I can ever hope to own. If there's only one thing you take away from this video, then please let it be this, and that is this car's ability to become an extension of the driver. Every input, big or small, responds to you immediately, almost as if the electric signal from your brain flows directly into the car. There's no thinking, no hesitation, no wasted energy. The decision and the action are perfectly in sync. And that, I think, is a testament to how well Porsche understands its craft. It's not any one singular element, like some manufacturers are great at engines, some are great at design, some are brilliant at engineering. No, with this car, every single element is honed to bring you the ultimate expression of the sports car. Let's start with the engine. Naturally aspirated is a term that a lot of people throw around, but understand why it's great. A natural engine requires no assistance. It is in itself power personified. So when it revs, there's no delay, and there's no turbo engine out there that can ever hope to match the responsiveness of this thing. So the upshot is its power feels like your power. It just feels so, well, natural. And then the power on offer is the absolute perfect amount. What do I mean by that? 503 horsepower in a car of this size and weight, you get to extract all of its power. Recently I drove the 750S McLaren on the channel, probably the best supercar I've ever driven, but I felt like I only extracted 30% of its potential on the road. This car isn't like that. At that power level, you can extract all of its power all the time, and it makes it so much more enjoyable. And the result on the road isn't just telling in terms of the way I feel, but also, for example, in the launch control. So we got 3 seconds, which is basically the same speed I got out of that 750S on a launch as well, so very deployable power. So the engine, the speed, absolutely nailed. Then we come to gearbox, which is the usual PDK magic, lightning fast shifts. And this one being PDK, the nice thing about this one is you shift a lot more frequently than the manual, so it makes it more enjoyable, and I think it actually suits this format of the Touring. And in terms of shifting, I kid you not, my favourite part of this interior is this gear shifter. Honestly, I do mean that. It's just so pleasurable to shift with it. I use it all the time, and in fact, I use it so much I've questioned my decision to get the paddles done, because it's just so enjoyable to be using that in the modern age, because there's so few. In fact, I can't think of another manufacturer who does it for a manual, because BMW don't anymore as well. And of course we come to sound. Exhaust on or else, as is the RBR motto, rev to 9,000, and this damn thing sounds so motorsport, like nothing else I've driven. I do wish you could hear a bit more of it in the cabin, like the 3RS, but honestly, revved out, there's no other engine in the world that sounds as good as this thing does. Then the steering, like I said, nothing like it out there. It feels like I have another limb. Any racing line seems possible with this, and the rear steer, so helpful and assistive. It feels like I could thread a needle with this car or perform delicate organ surgery. This mid-rear engine format is such a boon for power delivery as well, and these tyres, when they get hot, they're brilliant, such a chef's kiss to this car. And the upshot is you feel so confident in the power delivery that you don't hesitate, and thus it makes you faster. And then of course on track, it's an absolute monster, as we know. So this combination of engine, gearbox, sound, handling really displays adequately why you would crave this over a normal 911. Compared to my GTS, I did love my GTS, but eventually it got a little bit boring. The engine never had that kind of crescendo. The gearbox, the changing of the gears was not as pleasurable, and the general experience of sound, etc., a bit vanilla compared to something more exciting like an AMG GT. And this car is never like that. Even when you don't drive fast and you're driving more leisurely, because of the components, it's just so fun to drive even slow, and that's been 60 to 70% of my time in this car, and I've loved driving it in that range, which you can't say about a lot of sport or track cars in this segment. It's my feeling that Andreas Prüninger and the Weissach team, when they built this car, it wasn't to build the best track 911. Instead, I feel they wanted to make the best 911, period. They looked at the normal one, they said, well, this is a great car, but how do we make you perfect? And not only did they achieve that, but they didn't just make the best 911, they've made the best sports car possible. The 3RS in comparison is just so unhappy in normal activities and normal roads. It's too track focused despite having that suspension. And in my opinion, it never feels as fast as this does on normal roads. Any turbo 911 has half the appeal of this car. None of them can match it, purely thanks to that engine. And it's a technology that we have to protect. It's just so rare, and it's such a beautiful thing. There's nothing like it out there. And to me, it is worth the price of admission by itself. And rivals? What rivals Nothing can match the motorsport acumen of this car paired with the practicality that it affords the user. I think I'm going to say it, I never have, but here goes. This car is perfect. And that's really all there is to it. See you guys next time. Man sees butt, he slaps. Am I right?